Hello everyone. Welcome to an Instagram live that I will be posting on YouTube. Hello everyone. Hi you guys. Happy Saturday or Sunday. It's good to be here. Hi Zen and Glitter. Conscious Feminine Leadership. Maya Lynn, Green Star 7. Hi you guys, it's good to connect. Hi Miss Greenie 7, I just emailed you. So I'm doing really well. Yeah. How are you guys doing? How are you guys feeling? Australia, isn't it late at night? Like right early in the morning, midnight? Thank you for buying a badge. Do Ray Millennial. I messed up the name. Oh, the option isn't working to send badges. Yeah, I think there's a glitch. I think there's a glitch. Mama Dookies, the replay is really, really powerful. So I just got out of a live event that I did on my Patreon community. And it's part of the reason I'm on right now because of what came through. I do these events where I offer 3 free sessions. I offer 3 free sessions a month and to my Patreon community. And it was really powerful, the information. Thank you, the Self-Love Lounge, for the badge. It's really interesting what came through because I know that we are all feeling a lot with what's going on in the world, what we've gone through the last 2 years, what we're going through internally. And I always see everything from this perspective that we're going through a massive evolutionary shift in consciousness. Right? And that's the lens that I use, while I also remain very humble in my humanness. So I experience the emotion and the pain and the suffering and the struggle and the fears and whatever I may feel. But the message that came through this morning, I think is really, really important to start to pay attention to, or I don't know, just have awareness around. And it was this is what came through. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. So we live in a quantum field, okay, which means that we are experiencing multiple dimensional fields, which is hard to grasp, so just let that move through you. We're experiencing multiple different realities. So one individual is going to see something different than another individual. That's a different reality. They're going to see what's playing out in the world differently than you. That's different realities. There are different frequencies to tap into, different states of being, different awarenesses. Okay? We don't live in a linear, boxed in, unilateral, one way, and it's the only way of being, right? It's very quantum. There's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot of layers to what is going on in the world. There is a lot of layers of what's going on in your internal world. So one of the lessons, or one of the things that I think we need to pay attention to with that awareness, okay, that this is all quite quantum and third dimensional. We never bypass or negate the very human experience that we're having, okay? That there are atrocities occurring all over the world that we can and cannot see. It is also very okay to discuss the more quantum perspective as well. So this analogy that my guides gave me, this morning I loved and I want to share with you. And this goes for the collective, human collective world that we're experiencing, right? So the external world, right? COVID, the wars, human trafficking, all of these things. So much, right? And your own internal battle. I want you to imagine that you're walking down a road and you're standing on the road. And because you're standing on the road, okay, all you can see is the road that you're on. It's unilateral. It's one lane. It's one perspective. And all you can see because you're standing on the road, I want you to visualize this in terms of the globe, the whole human experience, and your own internal experience. Because you're standing on the road, you can only see what's directly in front of you. That's unilateral. That's linear. Now, when you start to move yourself out of, you pull yourself, or imagine that you're lifting up off of the ground, and you start to rise above just the unilateral road that you've been on, which is a narrative. One specific narrative that you're going to listen to in your mind, which would be a limiting belief, or a narrative that the world is telling you. Okay? A simple single narrative is going to keep you linear and boxed. So what happens is you start to lift yourself, your awareness and your observation starts to lift out of just this road that you're on. And you start to see offshoots, other roads that you can take, other narratives, other beliefs, other ways of seeing the world, other ways of experiencing the world. You start to become more expansive. You start to see things from a multi-layered perspective. You start to see things from a quantum, multidimensional perspective. However, you are still standing in the human experience. You see something horrific unravel, you feel pain. You empathize with the people in Ukraine and in Russia. You empathize with the people in Canada and Australia and the United States and all other countries. You empathize with people. You have compassion and love. You feel for what the human experience is. And you simultaneously begin to start to hold larger perspectives at the exact same time. You see, I think what's confusing for a lot of people right now, because we've never done this, okay? We've never evolved in this way before as a human species. It's challenging to let go of one linear way of doing things and start to hold the multifaceted way in which this world exists. It's very simple and very easy to say we live in a quantum field and we're multidimensional and we're choosing when it just has to do with love and light, when it just has to do with manifestation or intention setting. It becomes a very different, very sensitive game when you start to try to hold the emotions around the atrocities that happen. And one of the most intense atrocities next to human sex trafficking, in my opinion, there's nothing worse, in my opinion, than young children being tortured. War is up there. There's probably not a difference, right? They're horrific. War is horrific. It's inhumane. Child sex trafficking is horrific. It's inhumane. It's happening. But there are other layers that are occurring at the exact same time that we are allowed and that we are courageously learning how to look at the same time. just because you start to see things from a different lens doesn't mean that you are not feeling the pain. Doesn't mean that you're not sick to your stomach. Doesn't mean that your heart isn't breaking for what is occurring. It means that you are moving out of just the linear, unilateral lens. And you're beginning to see. I think what is extremely important is that in my opinion, we have to hold all of it. We have to stay in our hearts. We have to understand. It's the same thing like if you think about when COVID first broke out, right? There was so much pain in people. There was so much suffering in people. But there was also a narrative playing out. But if you're in pain and if you're suffering, you don't care about the narrative. You're trying to survive. That is real. That's real. That deserves to be honored. And our role as humans that are learning how to be multidimensional and multi-layered is to be able to have empathy. People don't really understand empathy. It means that you literally put yourself in the shoes of another individual and what they're going through. I forgot who it was. This woman on Instagram, she did such a beautiful video yesterday, and she put herself in the shoes of, a Russian soldier or a Ukraine individual, right? And it was like, what would it be like if that was what I was experiencing? And I think that's important to do for the whole world, to start to really understand empathy, which is what would it actually feel like if I was actually standing there on that road, or if I was actually in that hospital bed, or if I was actually that child. It's exhausting and it's not fun. And most of us won't do it because we are trying to just survive in our own world. But if you're dissecting this planetary shift, if you're dissecting what's occurring on the planet, and you're only focusing on either the unilateral, or you're only focusing on the branches out, you're only focusing on the narrative and the dark and the this and the cabal and the New World Order, you're only doing that, you're missing the entire picture. This is what we are learning. We're learning how to embrace all of it. We're learning how to allow diversity as a unified field. Which means, and this is also relative to your own internal growth, to your own internal evolution. For instance, I had a beautiful woman on my Patreon today, and I'm going to share her session because I thought it was just phenomenal in terms of what evolution looks like. She was going through this process of moving into a new apartment, and it was not going the way she wanted, and the landlords were doing all of these crazy things and asking her for all this money, and she was using a unilateral lens of, these are unfair rules, they asked me for all this money. She used the lens of one narrative. They're asking me for all this money. Now I'm in this lack state, right? It was so beautiful. She's amazing. I'm not going to stay here after 6 months. This was the apartment I really wanted. It was expansive. It was so beautiful. I love being here, right? So there's this victim mentality that they're doing something to her. And that's the lens. That's the unilateral lens she's using. Now, is that correct? 1000% that's what's happening. Absolutely, that's what's happening. Okay? Are there offshoots from a higher perspective that's also happening? 1000%. She was being asked by herself to step into worthiness. She was being asked by herself to step into more abundance. The offshoots were unworthiness or worthiness, abundance, freedom. But what happens when we upgrade or when we start to continue to evolve into new versions of ourselves, which is what's happening globally? What happens is that your trauma rises to the surface. You get reactive and reactive, and you respond from that reactive trauma space. So her little inner child came out that was traumatized when she was younger, being bullied. And that keeps you in that unilateral state, not able to see from this higher perspective that there's other offshoots, that there are other things happening for you. And it's just a choice of being able to observe that the way you see things is just one way. And there are always multidimensional, multi-layered ways and lenses of seeing what is occurring on the planet and in your own internal world. That is evolution. That is multidimensionality. That is shifting. That's what's happening to all of us. We cannot stay in a unilateral lens thinking that we're right and everyone's wrong. Thinking that I'm right and that my landlord is wrong. It had nothing to do with her landlord. It had everything to do with what she was serving herself in order for her to step into more abundance. Are they asking for 6 months in advance because they don't trust that you have the money? Yes. Is this showing you that you can step into more worthiness and abundance? Yes. Everything that's unraveling is allowing us to hold a larger perspective while we still honor the human experience, the human emotions, the pain. But if we continue to perpetuate the name calling, they're doing something to me. You're not seeing it the way you should be seeing it. You're not feeling it the way you should be feeling it. But we simply just own our own internal experience. We own our internal shifts. We own our own internal evolution. And we try to practice allowing others to do the same. That's how you learn how to unify in diversity. So this world is very diverse. It's going to stay diverse for a very long time. That's what's so beautiful about the human experience. Unifying in diversity is allowing the diversity. It's allowing the human to play out whatever they need to play out. So it's extremely important right now, in my opinion, to really watch. We are very, very, very traumatized, you guys, from what happened. Forget about our whole lives. The last couple of years, we're raw. We're very raw right now. We're very sensitive. We all think we know what's going on. We all think we know what's the right way to experience things. We all think that we know how everyone else should be doing it, and we're disappointed by these people, and we're upset with these people. And that's the human experience, and we're allowed to have that, of course. But everything that's unraveling right now, in my opinion, is always an opportunity. Everything, you guys, is an opportunity to choose how you want to show up in the world. To choose the lens that you want to use, or the lenses that you want to use. And what's happening, what I'm experiencing is we are, because of what we're coming out of or still in terms of COVID in the last 2 years and everything that we went through, I feel like we have a lot of PTSD that we're not aware of. And we're angry inside. We are frustrated. How could you not be frustrated by what you've just gone through for 2 years? And I don't think we're really talking about it. I think we're brushing it under the carpet. So when something new comes in, like a war with Ukraine and Russia, it's going to trigger a lot of what we've been going through. It's going to trigger it. We're going to respond from that triggered space because we're so raw. We're so vulnerable. So pay attention, be the observer of how you are relating in the world. What lens are you using? How challenging is it to see all the different dynamics, all the different ways in which you can experience this? Are you able to see the bigger picture and hold empathy and compassion for what's happening in the world? And why is that not okay? Why is it not okay to hold all these different perspectives, right? What's happening in your own internal world? You know, are you solely focused on a specific narrative about you? Believing it, knowing, feeling that you have to heal this, you have to clear this, you have to, why? What if there's other offshoots? What if it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to you, but because you're only focused on the fact that you need to heal it, that there's something wrong with you, that you're not seeing the offshoots? It's like a kaleidoscope. So when you start understanding the world as a kaleidoscope, right? Not just one light. Then you start to see a lot of other things occurring in the world that you weren't aware of. We live in a kaleidoscope. We don't live in one straight light, like a flashlight. That's an illusion. So if you're finding yourself fighting against something, if you're finding yourself in a lot of anger or rage or frustration and you're taking it out on people on social media, ask yourself, is this how I want to be? Is this how I want to show up in the world? Put yourself in the shoes of people that are suffering. One of the greatest things I think is happening for us is that we're starting to understand. We're starting to really practice true empathy. And it's bringing us together. I think it's unifying us. But we have to see the divide. We have to see the separation. We have to see the war in order to open our hearts more, in order to allow us to experience more empathy, allow us to experience more compassion. And then what you see is what you're seeing, people coming together, people unifying, people helping each other out. That's evolution. Evolution is other countries saying, come here, I've got you. Evolution is realizing that a country is still creating divide. Evolution is recognizing that we aren't countries. We are one unified human field, but we do live in countries. It's honoring all of it. It's honoring all of it. It's allowing ourselves to experience all of it. How are you showing up in the world? What are the comments that you're leaving on people's Instagrams or Facebook or YouTubes or emails or messages? People are real, they're violently crazy right now. People are coming at you. How do you want to show up? Again, for those of you that just joined, the analogy of what we're experiencing as a multidimensional human, learning how to live in a quantum field, is that we have been in a place where we have lived on a road, unilaterally, walking down the road, only seeing one way, one narrative. This is it. This is how I see it. This is how I experience it. And everyone should be doing this. How do you not do this? How are you not seeing this? How do you not understand this? Blah, blah, blah. And as you start to expand or you start to shift out of this very boxed in way of seeing, you start to lift out, you start to see that there's all these other offshoots. So many other offshoots that are currently occurring at the exact same time. Other narratives, other experiences around it, other ways of seeing it, other reasons for it being. It is not unilateral. That's the quantum field. And becoming multidimensional is being able to hold all of it. It's being able to hold the insane, traumatic, intense, chaotic, emotional world that we live in. the evil, the dark, whatever you want to call it, we live in it. We have to see it. We have to open our hearts to it. We have to break open. We have to drop. We have to cry. We have to see it. And simultaneously, we start holding the bigger picture at the same time. And that is how you live in the world, but you aren't of the world. It's not bypassing. It's quite the opposite. It's grounding so deep into your human experience that you devour it. You devour the pain. You devour the heartache. You devour how angry you become when you watch a war break out that makes no sense, that maybe has narratives that you don't understand. That's part of the collective shadow. Don't forget, you guys, that this is all us shifting out of a dark, dark collective shadow. War is part of a very dark collective shadow. Your own internal war is showing you your shadow. Just because we talk about it like that and use a lens to see it like that doesn't mean that you are bypassing your human emotions around it. When I look at my own shadow, which I love, I devour it. I feel the insecurities. I feel the sadness. I feel the anger. I feel whatever it is that comes up in me. I feel it. I honor it. I acknowledge it. I also know simultaneously what's occurring. There's shifting occurring. There's evolution occurring. I understand that. That's what I believe. And I believe that's what's happening in the collective. I believe that's what we've been going through. And because it is a physical evolution as well as an energetic, because everything's energy, but it's a physical evolution, which means that you have to see everything. We get caught up in what we are physically seeing. And we forget the energetics of it. We forget the energy around it as well. So all of this to say, you guys, be really gentle with humanity. Be gentle with yourselves. Bring more love, more laughter, more peace, more love to you. Assist humanity in whatever way you can. Hold this larger perspective. Stop creating divide by telling people that they should be doing it a certain way. Don't get caught up in the rabbit holes of one unilateral way of seeing it. It's a kaleidoscope. It's always been a kaleidoscope. It's not just one, whatever they call that, flashlight. It's not just one light. And to me, that's the most difficult piece, is that there is so much more occurring that we can't see physically yet. So within that light, within that flashlight, there's a kaleidoscope. Do you guys know what a kaleidoscope is? You know, when you turn it, all these lights, it becomes like all these multifaceted lights, and you see all these really cool things, but when it's stationary, you just see one light. We live in a kaleidoscope world. Currently, most of us just see one light. And unfortunately, humans are suffering through this evolution. It's unfortunate. It's horrific to watch. We are suffering within ourselves at times as well, right? It's not easy to watch this. The key to getting through this is love. It's compassion. It's empathy. It's understanding. It's remembering. It's not getting upset with people. It's not arguing and fighting with people. It's not telling a group of people they're doing it wrong. It's feeling that, if you're feeling that, and then keeping it to yourself and processing it, not throwing it up and regurgitating it onto somebody else because they're not meeting your expectation. When you're in relation, which you are in relation with everyone, with everything, you're in relation all the time. When you're in relations, we expect the other people to change. We want them to be the way we want them to be. And the key to relations, the key to relating to people, to be in relationship with people, is to be clear in your communication. What do you need? I need this in relation. I need this in relation. And if that individual can't meet you with where you need to be, that is the full expression of that relationship. You don't then say, well, you need to change in order to meet me where I need you to meet me. What you say is, apparently, this is where we are. This is what I need. This is what you need. If this individual is willing to change, great. If they're not, that's it. Then you learn what you're going to do next with it. But we have been programmed to be in this way where we have this idea that people have to change for us. The world needs to change for us. What if it's not about the world changing? What if what it's about is we are changing? And when you change the way you interact with the world, and the world changes. For instance, if there are two stores, and one store is mean, they're corrupt, right? They have really beautiful, it's a flower store, let's say, okay? And this flower store has great deals, okay? So you can get a great deal, but every time you go in, they're mean, they're yelling at you. They want you to wear certain clothes or think certain ways, but you're like, it's kind of worth it because I'm getting a good deal on the flowers. This flower shop, let's say, a little bit more expensive for the flowers, but it's peaceful, it's loving. You know, you can be you. You don't have to wear certain outfits or see certain, be certain ways, think certain ways, right? What happens is that when you start to understand your value, your worth, who you are, when you start to change internally, then you start to choose how you want to participate in the world. So you're not trying to change this person's way of doing business. You need to change the way you do business. You need to change your prices. You need to change the way you are with people. No, that's called efforting and struggle and resisting sovereignty and the way energy works and free will, etc. What you do is you change you. Why am I continuing to go into a flower shop with an evil person that's telling me what to do? What am I doing? Do I believe I'm worthy? Do I understand who I am? Do I believe that life can be easy and graceful and I don't have to be told? It's available. It's available. A world without war is available. It's how we are being in the midst of a war that opens the door to new ways of being. If you are perpetuating a warlike behavior, you're perpetuating the energy. So what store do you want to go into? Don't try to change the external. Change you and you'll change the world. Because here's what will happen. This individual that is charging little but making you be, that is mean and aggressive and just not, energetically, most people wouldn't choose to go in there. This person is going to go out of business when people stop going to it. It won't exist anymore. It'll be gone because nobody's participating in it. Because people have changed and they are choosing and they believe that they can. They believe that they can, that they're worthy, that there can be a unified field in diversity, that they are worthy of love and being seen and accepted. They're abundant, blah, blah, blah. But of course, we have to go through trauma. We have to go through programming, right? It's not as easy as this analogy, but this analogy is what's happening. But because we live in a third dimensional world that's full of density, it's full of trauma, it's full of programming, we're kind of programmed to go to this flower shop. We're programmed. Lots of people aren't going to see this store as being bad. So what? So let them go to the store they want to go to. Your job is not to say to your friends and family, hey, you're going to a really bad store. Why are you choosing that store? Who cares? Choose your store. Be you. Go and do your store. Walk into your store. Get your flowers. Let them do them. What do you feel worthy of? How do you want to show up in the world? Does this make sense? I don't do private sessions. Royalty. Yay, yep. I hope that made sense. I don't know, I just felt it was important bringing in a perspective, you know? When you have strong feelings, you feel them. You feel them. Here's the thing, you guys, around having strong feelings, which is just like intense feelings, right? Is you feel the feelings, but you own them. They're yours. They're no one else's. They're yours. And then you pay attention to when you are regurgitating, throwing your emotions out, or the response to your emotions out. You have to be strong. You have to feel here's what's so challenging also. Think about this. You have to feel all your emotions. And then you have to own them. Right? We have to own our emotions. And then we have to choose to not react or respond to the world based on any sort of intense emotion we're feeling. It's ours. It's designed to be digested through us. And what we do when we're really traumatized, like when you come out of a pandemic that we just came out of, and then something else erupts, or you're going through your own internal stuff, what happens is we have so much emotion. We're so raw that instead of digesting your own emotion, meaning it is your emotion, it's your experience, let it just move through you, we throw it out to other people. We say mean things. We take it out on people because we don't understand what's happening internally. We don't understand that we're in a trauma response, perhaps. You know? Anyway, pay attention to relationships right now, you guys. There's a lot of quantum. I'm going to switch subjects really fast and then I'm going to get going. There's a lot of relationship shifting quite quickly, like almost quantumly. There's quantum shifting happening in relationships right now. Either a coming together and a healing, a separation and a departing, a reworking of the relationship, right? But the status quo, the way that you've been doing it for a while with and in relation is going to dissolve. Newness is coming, whether it's newness together or newness separately. And this is because you're shifting, you're evolving, you're changing. Status quo just can't be, you know? And so honor that. Like, feel it, allow it, remember. Gosh, remember this. Nothing is, and this is such a cliche thing. I think Phil Good just did a video about this yesterday. Nothing's happening to you. If you're breaking up with somebody or you're separating from something, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. It's giving you some sort of opportunity. And this has always been happening, but now, because we are more aware of our own internal evolution, we're becoming more aware of, wait, what is this for me? And everything is, again, like I said earlier, bringing you into the aligned state. And an aligned state is nothing is pulling you out of who you are. Nothing is pulling you out of who you are. Meaning, if you are in a relationship, if you are in a job, if you are in a situation, if you are in limiting beliefs, if you are in anything that you are playing in that is pulling you out of your highest aligned state, it's going to show up for you. It's going to show up for you. So it's going to show you. And if you're in a relationship with children, okay, you're in a marriage with children, or there's financial things that are binding you together, or there's complications, or whatever that may be, right? Sometimes just having the awareness is enough, okay? I'm in a marriage that I don't want to be in, but I'm in it because of children, or I'm in it because of finances, or I'm in it because it's what I need to be in right now. Having the awareness is everything. There doesn't have to be action necessarily, but there is an awareness. Does that make sense? You don't have to necessarily divorce your husband or your wife, but it's around the awareness of what you are experiencing and the awareness of who you are and what is pulling you out of an aligned state. Do you guys understand the aligned state? Right? The aligned state is when all of you, it's the moments where you feel most yourself. That's an aligned state, right? When you are when you just feel like you, and there's no trauma pulling you, there's no beliefs pulling you, there's no thoughts, there's no strange, weird, addictive behaviors pulling you, there's no relationship pulling you. It's just you being all of you. That's alignment. And most of us, we feel that off and on. When you're in that aligned state, that's when you are in your highest outcome or your highest potential. That's when you are connected to you, your resonance and your signature. And so what is being done for all of us right now is we are being rattled, catapulted, knocked back into alignment by seeing what's pulling us out. Yeah, there's no major highs, there's no major lows. A centeredness, presence, ease, while you are still experiencing paying taxes, having an argument with someone maybe, right? That's being in the world but not of it. There's nothing bypassy about that statement. It's actually very courageous. It's very warrior and warrioress, in my opinion, that you are standing in the world. You are in it. Bring it on. But you're doing your best to not allow it to impact you in the same way that it used to, rattle you, pull you out of alignment. That's sovereignty. That's sovereignty, is being able to stay in that aligned state, right? Give me 1 second. All right, I'm gonna invite you, but you don't have to, well, heart if you want to join. If you're here, sir, and you want to join me, give me a little heart or something. Okay. I don't even know who the hearts are. You can join or not join. So I'll save this on my Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Do you guys have any questions before I go? Any questions? I don't know if I invited him correctly. Maybe he doesn't want to join. Let me try it one more time. I never know how Instagram works. Okay, what's your question? Advice for letting love in. Advice for letting love in. Pay attention to why you're not letting it in. What are you afraid of? What's the limiting belief? It's a choice, right? It's a choice. Everything's a choice, even though it's a lot of things don't feel like that. Do you feel worthy? Why not? Pay attention to the beliefs that you hold. You know? I mean, the best way to help a collective, a human collective, not feel fear is to practice not the way we shift humanity is that we be what we want to see, right? It's a ripple effect. It's like a domino. It's a domino effect. How do you open up the throat chakra? You start speaking. You just start speaking. That's the best way to open up the throat, is that you don't let fear stop you from speaking your truth. You just start practicing it, you know? The best way to plug into the collective is just your breath. Your breath, you know? Hi, Kyla. I love you. Focus on you. You definitely don't need it, but they say spearmint essential oil helps with confidence of speech. Sing to help open the throat. Supporting my body as it heals. If it's are you physically healing? Right? If your body is physically healing, how do you support it? Don't judge. Do not judge your healing process, your healing journey. Don't judge it. That's the best way you can support yourself going through whatever you're going through. And so, meaning if your body's like, hey, I need you to chill out and not do anything today, you're going to honor that. You're not going to judge it and say, oh, there's something wrong. Right? If you have a partner that's always reacting in anger or in rage, that's really challenging because they're coming from a very wounded or a trauma space, right? They can't hold what's being asked of them to feel. So a lot of times if you are in a relationship with somebody and you are trying to have a discussion about how you're thinking or how you're feeling or how you are being in relationship with them, and they are reactive right away, their body, literally their physical body, doesn't want to feel. So they immediately go to the defensive state of anger or rage, or it's your fault, because they don't want to feel what's being asked of them to feel. So a lot of people that are reactive, and that immediately push it back on you, it's only because they don't want to feel. And so what you do in that situation, or what I have done in the past in that situation, is I have, one, been the observer. No, narcissists, they exist. It's not your perspective. So, but one, I observe. I observe. And then as I'm observing the relationship, I don't try to change the person. So I don't say to that person, you are being angry, you are being reactive, you're in your trauma, you're doing this. I don't do that, because all that's going to do is perpetuate what they're in. So I simply empathize with what I'm going through, and I empathize with what they're going through. I see it, I observe it, I'm watching it while I'm feeling it. And when you do that, you can stay in a more calm state as you're having a conversation. You walk away if it gets abusive. You hold boundaries if you need to. You know, you state your truths from as calm of a space as possible. And you watch when you find yourself jumping into a loop of reaction, meaning you start to get reactive and angry with them because they're not hearing you, they're not seeing you. Right? They're not responding the way you need them to. It's not working. This is like, you know, there's nothing you can do. You can't change someone. Can't change them. You can't change them. All you can do is express yourself and cross your fingers that they're able to meet you where you need to be met. And the other thing that's really important, we've learned this, I think, in school, right? You use I statements. You really want to take responsibility for what you're thinking and feeling and not blame it on them. The moment you start blaming things on somebody, good luck trying to have a productive conversation. It's not going to happen. You just state what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're needing, not what they're doing wrong. It allows the other individual to open up. I can understand that you're angry right now. I can understand that this is confusing for you. I understand that you're upset with me that I'm bringing this up again, right? Like trying to empathize with them. The moment somebody feels seen, the moment somebody feels heard, is the moment they open. It's the moment they start to let down their guard. It's the moment they start to not be reactive, right? You say to your husband, listen, I know this isn't easy. This isn't fun. This hurts you. It hurts me. Then they get angry. They continue to stay angry, right? It's not easy to have this conversation. You don't want this. I don't want this, right? Trying to have an empathic conversation around it. If you start doing that, practicing that empathic conversation while you still own you, while you're still in your sovereignty, while you still hold boundaries, while you don't take abuse, it may shift. The conversation may shift. It's magic. Now, if you're dealing with like a narcissist, you're going to find yourself in deep patterns. It's really challenging with a narcissist. I've been in a relationship with a narcissist. It's very, very difficult. You know, typically only people that are very codependent will allow a narcissist to be in their lives. You know, I've been very codependent most of my life. Not ashamed to admit that. Very codependent. Narcissists like to tell you who you are and that everything's your fault and that you need to change. Lots of gaslighting. You know, you stand up for yourself, and then all of a sudden you feel horrible, and it's all your fault for standing up for yourself, for speaking your truth, you're like, wait, I just spoke my truth. And why do I feel like I have to apologize? It's crazy. It's literally like being in a relationship with a narcissist is you literally feel like you're losing your mind. I'm not even kidding. It's crazy. No, I'm not codependent anymore. At least I don't think I am. I mean, I haven't been in an actual like relationship with a man in a couple years. But the last time I was in a relationship with a man, I wasn't in those codependent patterns. So when I get into my next relationship, I'll know more if I'm in a but I'm not in my friendships. I'm not codependent. I'm not codependent in my relationship with my family. But I was never really in codependency with my family or my friends. It was more when I was in relationship with men. That's where I really found codependency was massive. And I also, because I was always afraid of abandonment. I'm always afraid of my partner leaving me. And so there's a lot of patterns that play out so that your partner doesn't leave you, which is all an illusion, but it's trauma. It's trauma. And this is why I think relationships are so powerful, is because they show you where you're at and they show you what still needs to be integrated into your wholeness. I don't know how I healed it. Honestly, I just continued, and I continue to do my internal work. I continue to look at my limiting beliefs about myself. I continue to look at my trauma, my behaviors. And I always am asking myself, how do I want to be? And am I being that? And if I'm not being that, why? What is blocking me from being who I want to be in the world? What is blocking me from having the relationship I want? Are there beliefs? Are there behaviors? Sometimes it's just not the right person, but did I stay in it for too long? Did I intuitively know, right? I always take everything that occurs in my life as my own personal responsibility. I never blame it on anyone else. But I think that there are many people that are people that are victimized right now. I think that is true. But you stop being victimized when you start to understand sort of with a different lens what's happening, and you start to pull yourself out of the experience. Anyways, we got off subject. Yeah, just ask yourself, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Am I showing up that way, or am I in that? Am I being that? And if not, what is in the way? What's in front of me? What beliefs are holding me there? What trauma is holding me there? Right? It's hard to get out of a narcissistic relationship because you think it's your fault. When you're in a narcissistic relationship, literally you think there's an intuitiveness that knows that this isn't right, but then you're so mind screwed by the narcissist that you believe what they're telling you, which is that you're wrong and that you're not right, and that you're the crazy one, and that you said certain things and that you made them feel certain ways. And so getting out of a narcissistic relationship is challenging because they make you there's oh man, it's crazy. You're afraid, you're I don't know, man. Narcissism is an interesting experience on this planet. It's such an interesting experience. Yeah, I think that's true. Grow with Paul. You stay until you can't anymore, and then you break. It's pretty much what happened. You eventually get to a place, at least I did, where I just couldn't I couldn't do it any longer. And I was willing to go through whatever pain, you know. And that really is when my most intense growth came, was when I let go of that relationship. My book, oh my gosh, you guys, really quickly, my book is complete. The editing is done. It's ready to go into production. So it's going to go into production in the next couple of, like the next month or two, and it's going to be ready. It's going to be in the hands of humanity in September, the beginning of September. I'm really, really excited. I can't wait for you guys to read it, to hold it, to have it, to talk about it. I'm really, really excited. What's the relationship between divine timing and taking responsibility? That's the same question of like, what's the difference between taking action and just being, right? So divine timing occurs in beingness. You can't force divine timing. You can't force something to come in that's not coming in. All right, that's beingness. That's just being. That's just allowing. That's surrender. It's trust. It's knowing that there is something bigger playing out, higher self playing out, that you can't see, that you have to trust. And that's in beingness. However, you have to still act. You have to still move in action, right? So for instance, let's say you want a partner, okay? You're intending a partner in your life. So there is a divine timing in it, from my opinion, okay? And from what I've experienced in my life, there's always divine timing, which means frequency matches frequency, okay? And if I force this, and you can replace a relationship with anything that you're intending in your life, okay? Whenever I have tried to force it and make it happen, efforting, literally going against the grain, forcing something to happen, forcing something to come in, it's never at divine timing. And so the frequency is off. And so eventually it will not last. Okay. And last is relative, but it won't be up in your highest potential. That's a better way of saying it. It won't be in your highest potential. Okay. Take out last. Not lasting doesn't matter. It's the highest potential. When you, let's say the intention is dating. If you try to make yourself date someone and find a partner because you're lonely, then you're going to effort somebody into your life that isn't going to match your frequency and isn't the highest potential. You'll have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a job or a place to live or whatever it is, but it won't be the highest potential. It won't be divine order, divine timing. But you're going to still do the things that you need to do in order to find a partner, i.e. maybe you go on a dating site. Maybe you go on that blind date, right? Maybe you start looking for jobs. You're not just going to sit around saying, well, divine order, divine timing is going to bring it to me. No. You have to play in life. You have to do life. You can't just sit back on the couch and say, well, there's a divine timing. I'm just going to sit and wait. So it's a balance. So the difference between acting, like doing life, and efforting is attachment. So when you are doing life, you don't need it. You're allowing the universe, you, to show you when it's going to arrive. You desire it, right? I can't wait. This is going to be good. Whatever it is, I'm so excited, but you're not attached to it, needing it. I need a partner. I need this job. I need this new house. That is a very disempowered state. It's very human. Okay. So there's a balance. It's a fine line. It's all gray. There's no black or white. It's a fine line though. So you want to desire something and move towards it effortlessly, hands off, detached, allowing, surrendering, trusting divine timing, patience. But you're moving towards something. Maybe you have to take a pause because you just lost your job and now you need some time to like decompress. You got out of a relationship. You need time to sort of sit with you. But you do have to play in the world. You got to engage, right? You have to engage in some way, shape, or form. But you also don't do anything you don't want to do that doesn't resonate. So dating sites, if you're not resonating with dating sites, don't do dating sites. Right? And the thing about divine timing right now, you guys, I know I've been waiting patiently, right, for my partner. The thing about divine timing is that it's not in our hands. And we're so used to controlling our world. Do you guys hear the... Yeah, that's engaging. Dating sites is engaging. It's good. You meet people. But it takes time. Divine timing is not in our control. It's not in our control. So we have to have patience, and then patience, and then patience. And some of us don't have to wait as long as others for what we are desiring in our life, you know? But it's all about frequency, and it's all about highest potential. You want to really think about that and trust that, you know? You don't have to let go of a 9-to-5 job. I think jobs are, you know, I think it's interesting living in this world and trying to kind of step deeper into why are you here? Why am I here? Why am I here? And I don't want a 9-to-5 job. I think jobs serve us in a lot of ways. Like we have to pay bills. No, that's not Phil with the lawnmower. We have to pay bills. We have to live this life. We have to put a roof over our head. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with a 9-to-5 job. I don't think there's anything wrong with something that you kind of need to do in order to live and survive. I always think it's a matter of your state of awareness, your state of being in it. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a job that you don't like. I don't think that's negative, dark, low frequency, low vibe. You know, I don't think anything that you're doing is like that. Anything, it's all about your state of being in everything, right? Your state of being. Yeah, I would, it's a gift. I remember when I was working in private equity and I knew it wasn't my highest potential. Okay. It's private equity. I knew I was an executive assistant. I was answering phones, making calendar things, you know, making hotel arrangements and flights. It was nonsense work. And I knew it wasn't my highest potential, but I wasn't going to belittle my job. I wasn't going to get upset with myself because I was doing a job that to me was pointless. What's the point of that? What's the point of me belittling or getting angry or judging myself for having a 9-to-5 job that is in a private equity, which is a pretty messed up world? The people aren't messed up, but it's a real crazy world. I'm choosing to be in it. It's giving me money. Maybe there's no stress in it. Maybe there's stress in it. But you realize by judging yourself, by ridiculing yourself, by telling yourself that you're in a lower frequency because you're in a 9-to-5 job that you don't like, that's doing more damage than just accepting the fact that you live in this world and that you need money to pay for bills. You need a roof over your head. And until you are capable of breaking free of all of this, we have to surrender and accept it. And I never quit my job until I was able to jump into what I'm doing now with ease. I wasn't just going to jump and not have anything. I was able to teach yoga full time, right? So there isn't a right way of doing this. There isn't an absolute. It's not black or white. There's gray. Your life may be crazy. You may be working overtime, right? You may be exhausted. And you can always move towards a new intention. You don't have to stay in anything. We're not victims to our circumstances like that, like a job, right? A relationship. You can change. You can choose to, but then you have to be very gentle with yourself, like a little baby or a little puppy. And you have to take the baby steps, perhaps. Okay, I'm going to start to open my mind to, do I want to change jobs right now? Nope. Don't want to effort that. I do not want to look for another job. I will stay where I'm at. Right? I'll stay in the torture and the overtime and the hell. Okay, that's being human. We try so hard to be these, like, I don't know, expanded, evolved humans, like, well, I should be doing it this way and I should be doing it that way. No, you should just be you. I don't want to find a new job because that sounds like a lot of effort. All right, well then definitely don't complain. Right? Don't complain. Or start shifting. Start to jump. And trust that if you are being called, right, on an intuitive level to start moving into a new thing, that you'll be taken care of. We're always taken care of. Thank you for the badge, Sada Faulkner. Kelly, okay, Kelly, the angel Raphael, I'm so happy you're here for a quick second. She did a video yesterday. Kelly, the angel Raphael, you guys should go follow her. She did a video yesterday that really spoke to my heart. If you guys weren't on earlier, that was the message I was speaking of. That she puts you into a very empathic state. So if you don't know what empathy is, go follow her. Go watch her recent video. Kelly, the angel Raphael. I don't know just Google her or just find it on Instagram. She did a really powerful video yesterday, and I think it's important. It shows you, she really explained empathy. Really explained empathy really well. Anyway. I think if you're burned out, you'll eventually jump. Don't worry. It's like being burned out in a relationship. There's Kelly's post. Kelly, wait, let me see if I can pin this. Kelly, hold on. There. Go follow her, you guys. She's amazing. Her messages are amazing. Her energy is amazing. The video is on her Instagram. It's not how to be empathic without taking on other people's energy. See, that's the difference. That's the confusion around empathy. People think that when people talk about empathy, it means that you're empathic, meaning you can feel a lot of people's energy. When you are being empathic, it means that you are putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Literally. You are putting yourself in their shoes. What would it be like? And you literally have to walk through that experience. That's being empathic. And we, in this community a lot, in the spiritual community, we think of empathy as, I'm an empath. I feel a lot, which is true as well, but we're all empaths. I don't buy into the whole, I'm too empathic. I'm an empathic individual. Every human is born as an empath, meaning I can feel energy. All empath is I can feel energy. It's a matter of how much you're feeling and how much of a sort of a victim, excuse me for saying that, but victim you're going to be in this energetic world. And it's learning sovereignty. It's learning sovereignty. It's learning how to be energetic. We're all designed to be energetic. We're all designed to feel. But being empathic is very different. Being empathic is you literally putting yourself in their shoes. And so she did a video I don't know if it was yesterday. And it's powerful, and it's about empathy. Nothing else. No right, no wrong, no narrative, right? No conspiracy theories, no, new world order, just empathy. And I think that's extremely important. So important that we're learning right now is really understanding that. What is it like? Because when you are able to do that, it humbles you. It grounds you. It grounds you. Because like I said in the very beginning of this video, we live in a kaleidoscope, right? And we have to understand that we're on a globe, and that there are so many things occurring that we don't see, and that we don't feel, and that we don't hear, you know? Hi, lovely.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Oh, your video yesterday was so, I just sat and just felt it.
Hmm.
And it was so, you rarely see somebody teach empathy like that, in such a potent, powerful moment.
Hmm.
It was good.
Yeah, I just needed to speak my truth yesterday. I'm having a hard time with I'm so about staying in neutrality and holding a high vibration and not getting like embedded in the fear. But I felt it was important to say, what people are really going through. And people are always going through so much pain all over the world, so many different places, but to negate that that's happening is it was just hard for me to watch. It's just like, let's actually put ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking earlier about being able, one of the hard things about like what we're going through in this evolution and this ascension and this everything is starting to be able to sort of hold the kaleidoscope picture, like all of it, right? And because I think that as humans, we're like, oh no, it's black or white, right? You either see the narrative or you are brainwashed and you're whatever it is. And it's like, why can't we all just have it all? You know what I mean? Like, because I know they came at you pretty hard, right? People were coming at you.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to mention Amanda Ellis because she was, she often talks about staying in the middle way. And I just think that that's so valid, that it isn't black and white, that there is gray. And, people are people going through human experiences and suffering and pain, and to just divorce ourselves from that because we feel that we have to protect our energy and hold a certain vibration, that they don't have to, that we can do both of those things. We can meditate and hold a high vibration and not engage in the fear and not tap into everything that's going on and feed it and keep our energy held at a high space, and at the same time hold empathy and take action and do things for those who perhaps are in a position right now that need support, that it's not one or the other. And that goes for the refugees that are fleeing right now, and also for Russian soldiers, and for the Palestinians and the Israelis, and wherever it happens to be unfolding. But yeah, I just needed to say it because there was so much pushback, and I was really taken back by it, to be
I
honest.
know. They're very sensitive right now. Humans are very sensitive.
Woo, man, yeah. So clearly there was some wound within me that got triggered. I was pretty riled up myself.
But I think it's important, especially as a teacher, I think it's important that we also just, because you're actually expressing the collective's experience.
Yeah.
And giving them courage to be okay with, just being themselves. And if they feel like doing whatever they're going to do, being okay with that, even if there's backlash from people wanting you to be a certain way.
Exactly, no matter what that is, we also, it's easy to drop into fear and not speak truth because you feel a majority of people might not agree with you. But that's the whole path right now, is to feel free to share wherever you're at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's yeah. Can I ask you a personal question? Were you pretty surprised by the reaction and response you got?
On the positive end or the negative?
The
Because it was,
negative, the people, the
yeah, I was, and I was sort of outraged, and I guess it hit my own wound because, like, so many people have been on this path for a long time, and it felt like, preaching something that is clear, it's obvious, like we get that, but it still doesn't mean that, I guess as a mom, I could just so relate to the fact that I'd be, bombs could be coming down on my house right now, and I'm packing my bag with little kids, walking in the snow, in the cold, not knowing where I'm going. And for people to say, oh, well, you can't, send them money. It just outraged me. I was like, okay,
yeah.
what's the
It
spirituality in that?
it just shows how where we still are. Do you know what I mean? Like, because again, I don't think this is easy, the kaleidoscope perspective, which is very much I'm gonna send Ukraine refugees money. But I also understand that there's maybe a bigger picture. Okay, that still doesn't mean my heart isn't going to bleed for what is occurring, and doing what feels most resonant and highest aligned for me. Um, there isn't. It's not like that. It's
No,
not.
a
It's
ton. Yeah.
it's not because what I thought was so beautiful about your message. I mean, there were many things, but we aren't we aren't in those people's footsteps. So the narratives are important. The big perspective is important, but that the big perspective means nothing when bombs are dropping. The big
Yeah.
perspective means nothing when you don't have a roof over your head. Like, so we have to be able to hold all of that.
Yeah, we have to be able to hold compassion. I mean, it's all about us moving back into unity, right? And away from separation, polarization, division, and the recognition that everybody, no matter what their political view is or what they think about any of the subjects we talk about, they're all still divine beings on whatever side it is. And that this isn't about sides. This is about being human and grounded and loving each other, and seeing the divinity in each soul, whoever or wherever it is. And the pushback to, oh, well, you shouldn't do that, it just was like, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, people were saying that what were they saying about me? That I don't believe that there's a right or a wrong or something. I can't remember what they were saying, but um, it's complicated. It's just complicated. All of it is complicated,
It is.
and I
And
think people like to put their own. People like to tell us what we're saying. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's what I was saying. Oh, okay, got
oh,
it.
yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, I didn't know that's what I was saying. Got it. You know, it's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, in my opinion, around expressing in these times. So all we can do is come from our heart. All we can do is have compassion and love and empathy. And I think if we just come from compassion, love, and empathy, we're doing the best we can, you know?
Yeah, and there's nuances to it. Like we zoom out on the big picture, we can talk about that no one's actually a victim, that we've created our reality, that people, brought things into their perspective and awareness for their evolutionary growth, that we signed up on contracts of all these things. And all of that is the big perspective. And we've got to look at that, right? But at the same time, that doesn't mean that a child that's raped, that we're not having compassion for them, or a refugee who's being bombed, that we're like, oh, well, you're a victim, so you created your reality, so too bad for you. Like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? It is complicated, and we have to zoom out and have the big picture. But part of that is having compassion for that. Maybe they signed up for that role, and our role is to have compassion for them and to help them in any way that we can, right? Like,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know it's holding all of it. I always think about Jesus in these times of like, not that he was like the end all be all, but I'm always like, how would Jesus be? And Phil and I do this all the time. Like, he's always like, what do you think Jesus would do right now? And I'm like, dude, you're not Jesus. Like chill out. Like,
Yeah. Oh,
you're not Jesus.
not at that
You're
vibration.
yeah, you're your own unique person, right? But like, I'm always curious, and I really try to tap into like how he would be in these times, you know. And you think about the amount of love and compassion and how he would literally walk into those countries, both of them, right? And just be with them and hold them and love them. And it wouldn't be about who's right or who's wrong. People have a really hard time when I don't choose sides. And it's because it's not my role to choose sides. My role is to just walk humanity through this. And so I always think about how Jesus would be in it, and try to hold that perspective a little bit, you know. Um,
What's so funny about the whole Jesus thing is that it got so, I mean, it's so obvious, right? With religion, it's like, well, if you don't believe what I believe, then Jesus is going to punish you, and all that
oh,
ridiculous.
right.
It's like, okay, guys, really? We're still talking about that?
Oh, yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
wow, right?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
the same thing, and we take away all it. It's the same construct, even in war. And when we take that away, it's just humans, that have whatever they have, and they're going through their process. But yeah, anyway, thanks for
Thanks for jumping on. Thanks for your video. You guys go check it out and follow her. She's amazing. She also channels Raphael, Phil had you on once, and it was just such a powerful, powerful channeling. So
so
yeah,
kind. You're amazing.
I love it.
Have me on, sweetie. Have a beautiful day.
You too, my love. Thank
All right.
you.
Sending
Bye.
love. Bye.
So I pinned her down below so you guys can follow her. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go. I think I've been on for a while. I don't know how long I've been on. Sometimes I get into these moods and I just keep going. We're all evolving. We're all doing the best we can, you know, and we're all going to see it through whatever lens we're going to see it through. So just have compassion. Think of the kaleidoscope, right? Think of the kaleidoscope instead of the single one light going through. So there you go. I will save this and I will put it up on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope some of this information was useful. What else do I need to say before I go? I never end abruptly like Phil. Phil just closes it. I like watch. Let's see, what else was I going to say? There was something else I wanted to say to you guys. Oh, well, I don't know what it is. I love you. Thanks for being here. And be gentle, be compassionate, be empathic, have empathy.